There is a ghost that lives inside of you. It is not the ghost of a stranger, but something far more intimate. It is the ghost of the person you used to be. The philosopher Alan Watts saw this haunting not as a moral failing, but as a profound misunderstanding of who we are in the river of time. This ghost is the judge in a courtroom that never adjourns. It replays your most cringeworthy moments, your most significant mistakes, and your periods of weakness on a constant draining loop. You are the defendant, forever on trial for crimes no one else even remembers. This phantom of your past self dictates the limits of your present, whispering that you haven't really changed, that you are just pretending to be better. And the great paradox is this: your noble and constant effort to fight, fix, or atone for this past self is the very thing that keeps it alive, chained to you like a shadow. But what if the path to freedom isn't through forgiveness, but through abandonment? What if the person you were last year, last month, or even yesterday is literally no longer here? This is not a journey about making peace with a ghost. It is a journey to the realization that the house isn't haunted. We are going to explore a truth that feels both ruthless and liberating, that the only way to be truly alive is to have the courage to let the dead remain dead. It is a journey to understand how to be the snake, not the skin it leaves behind. This haunting is a prison we build for ourselves, but the blueprints are handed to us by our culture. We are taught to have a life story, a neat, linear narrative where I am the main character. Every past event is a chapter that supposedly defines the chapters to come. We come to believe that we are a single, continuous entity, accumulating a history that becomes both our identity and our burden. We are taught to be the curators of our own museum, and we end up living in it. This creates the great loop we must now unravel. We spend the energy of the present moment paying the debts of a person who no longer exists. But what if that past self has no actual power over you? What if the chains you feel are not made of iron, but of smoke? What if the past is not a foundation you are forced to stand on, but a wake you are leaving behind as you move forward? To explore this, we need a guide who understood the fluid, impermanent nature of reality. Alan Watts was a master at translating the profound Eastern understanding of no self for the Western mind. He wasn't encouraging irresponsibility or amnesia. He was pointing to a much deeper, more liberating truth. You are not a static thing that has experiences. You are the experience itself. You are a process, a verb, not a noun. He offered a key to unlock the shackles of memory. This key begins not with a complex spiritual practice, but with a simple, undeniable fact of nature. In the next part of our journey, we will explore the literal, physical truth that the person you were 7 years ago is gone, down to the last cell. We will begin to dismantle the illusion of the fixed self, and see why you are not a statue being carved through time, but a river where the water is never the same from one moment to the next. Let's begin with the simple biological fact we promised to explore. The body you inhabit today is not the body you had 7 years ago. The vast majority of your cells have died and been replaced. The atoms that form you now were once in the air, in the food you ate, in the water you drank. Physically, you are not a fixed statue. You are a flowing pattern, a vortex in the river of matter, constantly changing, constantly renewing. The person from your old photographs does not exist anymore in any literal physical sense. The same is true of your mind. Your beliefs, your personality, your fears, your desires, they are not static objects. They are weather patterns moving through the sky of your consciousness. They are habits of thought, conditioned by a past that is also no longer here. You are not a fixed identity. You are a process of becoming. Alan Watts loved the river metaphor for this. A river may have the same name on a map for 1,000 years, but the water that makes up the river is never the same from one moment to the next. You are that river. To chain yourself to the person you were in the past is as absurd as the river trying to hold on to the water that flowed through it yesterday. Take a moment. Recall a strong opinion you held 10 years ago, a belief you were absolutely certain of. Is it still the same? Think of a fear that kept you awake at night. The you who held that rigid belief and felt that specific fear is as gone as the water that was in the Nile River 10 years ago. You are the memory of that person, not the person themselves. This realization is the first crack in the prison wall. The person you judge yourself for being is quite literally gone. So who is doing the judging? And who is being judged? We are left with a ghost in the present, judging a ghost from the past. To understand this phantom court, we must look at the nature of memory itself. The reason the ghost feels so real is because we misunderstand memory. We believe memory is a perfect video camera, an objective archive of past events. It is not. Memory is a storyteller. It is an artist. Every time you recall an event, you are not accessing a pristine file. You are repainting the scene from the perspective of who you are today. Your present mood, beliefs, and insecurities all color the brushstrokes. You are creating the past right now. This is why the central metaphor for this journey is so potent. The snake and its skin. The person you were is a story you tell yourself in the present. This story is like a shed snakeskin. It has the perfect shape of the snake. It has the patterns, the scars, the texture. It looks for all the world like the real thing. But it is hollow. It is lifeless. It has no substance. It is a ghost print of a life that has already moved on. Our chronic self-criticism, our endless rumination over past mistakes, is the strange and tragic act of clinging to this dead skin. We carry it with us everywhere, lovingly preserving it, pointing out its flaws, and mistaking this hollow thing for our living self. The entire weight of your past is the weight of a story you are choosing to tell today. The ghost that haunts you is a phantom you are reanimating with your own present moment attention. The liberating and terrifying truth is that you can just drop the skin. But the mind protests. Doesn't my past matter? Isn't it what made me who I am? And this is the final, most beautiful paradox to understand. To truly honor your journey of growth, you must be willing to let go of the road you have already traveled. To understand this, we must finally stop talking about the skin and start talking about the snake. For the snake, the act of shedding its skin is not a moment of moral failure or regret. It is a biological necessity. The old skin has become too tight. It is a constraint on growth. It is a prison made of its own history. To remain in the old skin is to suffocate, to stop growing, to die. Life, vitality, and freedom are only possible through the courageous act of leaving the past behind. The shedding is not a rejection of what it was. It is the affirmation of what it is, a living, growing creature. This is the ultimate reframe of your identity. You are not the skin. You are not the collection of memories, mistakes, and past versions of yourself. You are the snake. You are the living, breathing, changing process that is shedding the skin, moment by moment. Your true self is not a noun, but a verb. Your being is the act of becoming. The self-criticism we feel is the snake's absurd and tragic loyalty to its own dead skin, dragging it through the dirt and wondering why the journey feels so heavy. Freedom is not something you earn by atoning for the past skin. Freedom is your nature as the snake. It is the constant possibility of renewal in this very moment. But how do we live this? How do we practice being the snake when we've spent a lifetime collecting and curating our old skins? In our final section, we will explore the courageous and surprisingly simple act of letting go, of leaving the corpse of your old self where it lies, and continuing the journey alive and new. We have arrived at the final crucial act, the shedding of the skin. We have seen that you are not the static person from your memories, but the living, flowing process of life itself. So how do we practice this? How do we live as the snake, not the skin? The answer is a subtle but profound shift in identification. It is the art of abandoning the corpse. When a memory of a past mistake arises in your mind, a familiar scene from the ghost's highlight reel, you have a choice. The old habit is to fuse with it immediately. To see that memory and say, that is me. I am the one who did that foolish thing. I am that failure. I am that shame. In that moment, you have lovingly picked up the dead skin and wrapped it around yourself like a cloak. The practice of being the snake is to notice the memory as it arises, but to not climb inside it. You see it for what it is, a thought form appearing in your consciousness, a ghost, an echo. You let it be there, but you no longer grant it the authority to define who you are right now. This is the crucial difference between forgiveness and abandonment. To forgive your past self is to maintain a relationship between two entities, the good person you are now and the flawed person you were then. This keeps the ghost alive. To abandon the past self is to see that there is no one there to forgive. You do not forgive the character in last night's dream. You just wake up. The portable wisdom is this: see your past self not as your identity, but as an ancestor. You can learn from their life. You can have compassion for their struggles, but you are not them. When a self-critical memory appears, see it not as a mirror, but as an old photograph. You can look at the photo and say with compassion, "Ah, that was a difficult moment in the life of the snake." And then you gently put the photograph down and you return your attention to the one thing that is real, the feeling of being alive in this moment. You are the one looking at the photo, not the person frozen within it. This practice is not an act of violence or rejection. It is a quiet revolution of identity. The immense weight of your past is not a burden you must carry. It is a story you can stop telling. This allows for true change. When you are no longer defined by the old skin, you are free to move in new ways. You are not the person who always gives up. You are the living consciousness facing this present moment, entirely new, entirely free. The wisdom from the past is integrated into the snake's being. The dead identity is what is left behind. So the final invitation is not a struggle, but a gentle release. As you move through your day, and the ghost of who you were inevitably appears on the stage of your mind, can you meet it not with a fight, but with a simple, quiet recognition? Can you see it for the hollow skin that it is? Have a moment of compassion for the creature who wore it, and then gently return your attention to the feeling of your own breath, to the vibrant, living texture of the present moment. What if the freedom you have been seeking was never in the future, but has been here all along, waiting underneath the weight of a skin you are finally ready to let go of?